Hi guys, my name is Educacion and today we're going to talk about the roles of elements in a process, principal and curricular successor, and didactic. But what is a didactic planning? Didactic planning is the principal tool that the teacher needs to achieve a good teaching inside the classroom. Why? As you know, the education as a social fundamental task needs a planning. Why? Because you know that a teacher without the planning is not going to achieve nothing inside the classroom. And you have to involve this planning according to the different kinds of people that you have in your school or in your school environment. Why? Because you know that we have different students and we need to achieve the planning with objectives. As you know, we have the principal objective that we have to achieve as a teacher. And you know that inside that didactic planning, we have different levels. As a national level, that is the macro planning, and the institutional level, that is the micro planning, taking account the different characteristics inside this didactic planning. As these didactic plannings, there must be a participator, is as a permanent process, and a permanent process and a flexible the planning has to be.
Okay, we're going to continue for the topic, and the topic is how intervene the elements or components of the curriculum process in the didactic planning. We have the guidance counselors that it says that this element express the goals towards having the curriculum aims and objectives of education. In this element, we have to include it at the moment of then we are planning the class. We have to know what is the objective that we want to require from the students. So at the end of the class, we can see if we develop our objective in the students, or if we get the objective that we plan in our planning daily. And we have the generators, that this one is very important because in this element is very important the students, the teacher, the fathers, and the social cultural context from the students. They need to explain how they can express by the social cultural context, and the parents have to help their students so they can be nice students, and their parents have to take a part of the education of their kids, and the teacher have to plan very carefully the class so they can have what they are going to make, what are the activities that they are going to make, what are the methodology that they will be practicing, and what is how are the activities going to be developed. So they need to be very carefully at the moment of planning. And in the guidance counselor, they have to express what they want to get from the students in their planning. They have to express everything of what they want that the students develop, and they need to practice the activity so they can take the objective that they have in their planning, and they need to be carefully in the goals that they need.
The triggers or methodic. It is include the elements that relates to the implementation of the curriculum process. This is mean that we use as teachers different strategies to teach all kinds of students in our classroom. The multimedia, these are the components related to research using in implementing the curriculum. The resources can be the internet, pictures, videos, sound, and text, the material that we generally use in class to teach to our students, and all of kind of classes that we give them.
Hello everyone, continue with the topic. Remember that every single teacher should plan, and that planning needs to be in a specific way. So we have some steps that we need to follow and as well some principles. When it comes to the planning, a teacher needs to be focused and be guided by certain principles. The first one that we have in here is the integration principle. When we talk about integration, it means that we should integrate all the elements and as well all the steps, techniques, and as well involve the teacher, which are one of the most important elements, students, and the community, so that we are following the integration process. The second one is the vertical sequence principle. Since we are following some steps and some instructions in order to integrate and can get a perfect planning, we need to go straight ahead in a straight line, following all the process without skipping any of the components and as well of these principles. Continuity principle is the number 3. As well, when we are going straight, we need to continue and so on. After continue, we can see the results. So continue involving, continue improving, and continue adding all the information required in order to get that planning that we are wanting to have. And the last one is the horizontal coherence principle. When we have all the structure, all the steps, and we have the first, second, and third principle, we get to the last one, in which, as the horizon, we see more, we see further. So it means that we don't stop there. We continue improving our planning. We continue as well enhancing our planning so that we can see the results in our students. Remember that as teachers, this is the role play that all those principles work. The process will be 100% successful if we do these principles and if we apply them at the time that we are planning.
Technological approach. This approach includes skills, abilities, and the knowledge that the student has to achieve. The teacher is responsible to make the planning. The teacher has to know about technology. This approach helps to improve and enrich the learning process. As you know, technology is a great tool to make our classes more interactive. This approach is about using technologies in the classroom to facilitate the learning process. Social reconstructive approach. The objective of this approach is the student have to know about their own reality, and the student have to be able to give solution of community problems. The participants are the teachers, the students, and the community members. The teacher has to be critical, dynamic, active facilitator. Dialectical approach is focused on the development or reflexive critical thinking that allows the student in a process of reflection actions. The student have an important role. The teacher is active.
How do curriculum approach influence in the process of didactic approach? The curriculum approach constitutes the theoretical approach that is adapted in a determined educational system to characterize or in a determined educational systems and to organize internally the elements of the curriculum. The curriculum approach is the theoretical body that visualizes the elements of the curriculum. This implies that the curriculum approach is one of the guides to elaborate plans, programs, and we can see that they are different positions. This means that there is not a single classification, a single description of the curriculum approach. In this paper, we do not pretend to be exhaustive. if we do not select some of the approaches from different actors, we have to select those that are amplified in Latin America. That is why the following curriculums approaches are presented, such as psychologists, restructuring partner, dialectal, technological, and academical. How do we approach influence to the process of the dialectic approaches? The curricular approach is the theoretical body that visualizes the elements of the curriculum. These the elements of the curriculums. These curriculums approaches this paper, we do not pretend to be exhaustive. We do not select some approaches from different authors. Okay, now we are going to talk about the psychology approach and focus academics. We're going to see the difference between both. Okay, the psychology approach focuses in the psychologists analyze the individual. In this approach are included several theories of them, and the theories of the learning. This pretends to explain the success of the students of learning, since they play in the fundamental role, being the teacher is the facilitator or giving investigation to the needs, interests of the student. So the focus academic, in this one, the curriculum approach focus in the psychologist analysis of individual approach, academic aim, and determine the behavior that are wanted in the student. So method not very flexible. It's a very traditional. The student has to learn, they have to memorize. Something very important of this approach is the teacher is the main in the classroom. So what this mean? That the student is like a bank. What does it mean? The teacher deposit all the knowledge on the student. So it means this traditional approach is very bad. It's very traditional. So we need to make the difference between the curriculum. So we have to have the changes.
Now guys, we're going to talk about what is the function of the sources and curriculum foundation in the didactic planning. As you know what is didactic planning. And the principal curricular sources are the social cultural context, the students, and the knowledge areas. How you are going to apply these curricular sources inside your didactic planning. For example, how you're going to teach a topic with your student and how you're going to involve your student inside your didactic planning. You have to have the previous objective that you're going to achieve. Why? Because if you don't have the expectation and you don't know what are the characteristics or what are the needs that the student needs to achieve inside the classroom, how do you expect to achieve a good teaching inside the classroom? Taking in account the social cultural context. Remember that we are working with different students that they participate in the culture in different stands. Why? Because you need to know what are the principal things that you need to characterize with the students. Taking in account the knowledge areas. You can work as a teacher, it shouldn't take in account the knowledge areas. Why? What you are going to know or what you are going to achieve in your classroom if you don't know how to apply the different subjects, the different knowledge areas that are going to give you the principal support to get a good learning experience in your classroom. Remember that we have a big social cultural context. Remember that we are working with different guys, we are working with other kinds of people that we need to know, that we need to apply the different things that we need to support as a teacher. Why? Because you need to emphasize the principal characteristics using different methodic, different techniques in order to get your best in your work as a teacher.